It's not much, but it's home.
I think it's brilliant.
Brilliant it is indeed. In this video I'll be bringing the magic of the Weasley kitchen to life, all decked out for Christmas. Here is my mood board for this project, and whilst this might not be the full extent of what I'm making, it is a start. Let's get into it. Hello my lovely ravens, and welcome to the final video of this year. As we bid farewell to another year, what better way to celebrate than with a festive dinner at the Burrow? This project has been on my to-do list for quite a while. I'm excited to finally bring it to life. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to all the new subscribers joining us. The Honeydukes video has brought a lot of love, and I truly appreciate it. I do realize that Christmas at the Burrow might be a little bit late, but hey, better late than never, right? I am starting by building the diorama box because we have to start somewhere and we have to house the entire kitchen inside this miniature. So I'm starting by building the diorama with the window already cut out and then the beams for the ceiling, and this is going to be the floor. Well, at least the floor tiles, because I will be painting them with acrylic paint, as you can see me do now, and then pop them all out and put them all in the diorama. And then I will grout that with actual grout this time and not the speckle that I used in my previous project. But I have to say both work equally well. The Burrow was the family home of the Weasley family. It was a thoroughly magical dwelling that became a second home to Harry Potter. Now we have all that texture going on. I am going to pop them all out of the chipboard. This is 1.5mm chipboard or mat board, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm going to use them as individual tiles for the flooring. For the edges, I'm going to cut the tiles in half, diagonally and diagonally. And then I'm going to place them all in the diorama and then eventually also gluing them down. And here it's all done by the magic of editing, because it took forever. But I do like doing this for some reason. It's quite cathartic. And yeah, then glazing them as I did with the previous project as well. This time I use triple thick glaze by Deco Art. And this is really nice to use, actually watered down a little bit. And for the walls, I'm going to use baking soda and plain acrylic paint and just speckling that on so we have a textured wall. Here it is still wet, but it will dry a little bit lighter when it is all dry. And at the end, I will age it up as well. This is the same cup as where I had the previous mixture in, so I put my cement grout mixture in there too, so it's a little bit lighter here, but it is a darker gray. And just putting that on with a popsicle stick and then wiping that down with a wet sponge, and then we have the floor grouted. The kitchen of the Burrow was a social center of the Weasley family. Located at the back of the house, it was accessible from the garden. The kitchen contains a large wooden table with room enough for 8 chairs. All the chairs that were present were mismatched. Ara from Bentley House Minis was kind enough to send me the digital file for these chairs that she made quite some time ago in one of her videos. And she is looking into maybe putting out some digitals next year. So I got a little bit of a tryout here. So instead of making it from mat board like you saw the template cut out before, I decided to make them into wood, plywood. And this way I can make them the way I want them to look, so they all look a little bit different. I can make them look worn and used, and like you can see here, and that is the look I was going for, and I am so happy that I did this. And yeah, I hope you like the results as well, because these chairs took a good 2 days to make everything all up, including painting. So yeah, enjoy this. Of course, I had to make little cushions as well for these chairs. So this is basically what they're going to look like when they're all sewn together, put inside out, sewn up at the end. And then I will also put a little string at the back so it looked like they're actually attached to the chairs. And of course I had to sew in little buttons, because why not, right? In the place the Burrow came to stand, once stood a little Tudor building with a large stone pig pen on the side. It is unknown what happened to the building, but after Arthur and Molly Weasley's marriage, the family settled in the pig pen. As the family grew over the birth of their children, the couple started building upward with add-on bits of architectural salvage they picked up wherever they could find. By the 1990s, the house was several stories high with 4 or 5 chimneys on the roof, with all the appearance of being held up by magical means. And here are all the chairs, all with buttons and all with strings at the back and all painted, and I could not be happier with the results. Now, for the beams in the ceiling, I made a little mistake by not measuring where the cabinet was gonna go, the plate cabinet that is already in there right now, but this video is a little bit chopped up and made a little bit more logical for your viewing pleasure. So I messed up, and in the final file, this will not be messed up, but I messed up, so I had to replace the beam in the ceiling and all that. Anyway. Moving on to the table, and not the chairs, but the table and the benches are available as a downloadable file, but I thought this table that I created from scratch would be perfect to go with the chairs from Era. So I won't use the benches in this video. I will age them up so you can see what they look like, but well, basically I could use them in this setting as well if I ever wanted to change it up and to do a photo shoot or something of the Weasley kitchen. And then I dress the table with this tablecloth, which looks very Christmassy if you ask me. And I attach it with double-sided tape so I can always remove it if I want to. Then we're moving on to the kitchen cabinet. This cabinet sits at the back wall and has a lot of knickknacks in it. It has some drawers and basically where Mrs. Weasley would store her pots, pans, knickknacks, what have you. So this is also a digital download in my Etsy store. There are in total 6 downloads, 1 for the entire bundle for this kitchen, and 1 for one of the 5 elements that I created for this kitchen setting. So this is what I want to do going forward. Every miniature that I make, besides the matchboxes, but every miniature that I make, I want to create some minis that go inside the mini, inside the diorama, and for you to be able to make that yourself at home. And I hope that you do, and show me your results. I know that many people have already purchased the Honeydukes downloads. This is the cabinet, by the way, all put together. And I would love to see the results. So please, please, please share your photos with me if you have them. You can do that by emailing me or tagging me on Instagram. I always like emails and I always respond to my emails. So if you want to email me, you can. And here are we just putting together the drawers made out of mat board and just slotting them together like so. And then the front of the drawer will have that nice finish so you don't see the joints and lined up to the base. And I have some miniature drawer pulleys that I got from AliExpress. Everything I mention in this video will be linked in the description box below. So if you have any questions about anything or I forget something, please let me know in the comment section because I'm happy to help out. Here are the little drawer pulls that I was talking about. And I was thinking of maybe just putting one on, but then I placed two on each. And I think that looks rather good. Of course, this cabinet needs to look like it is old and used. So I'm just going in with some brown acrylic paint, putting in a couple of layers. So I want to keep the details of the background. And then going in with my Dremel to age it up a little bit. And after painting and glossing and putting the drawer pulls on, this is the final cabinet. It also has a divider drawer, so you can decide which one you want to put in there. This is the plate storage cabinet that I'm putting together here. I'm quite proud of this thing. It actually holds the miniature plates that are 3D printed, so that's really cool. And I'm just going to seal those ends in with some wood glue. Then I will paint it and put the details of the outside on so you don't see the joints anymore. This is also included in the downloadable. This is the third one of the downloads. So if you want to check that out, it's all on my Etsy store. The Burrow had been the residence of the 9 Weasleys, though their numbers had dwindled over time as the children grew up and left home. Despite their modest means, none of the Weasleys felt embarrassed by their home. Instead, it radiated a comfortable and relaxed ambience. It was an inviting place where the family friends frequently visited. And after painting, I'm going to attach these little eye hooks, things, rings, what do you want to call them? And I'm going to just pry them open a little bit. And then I can hang some little teacups from there. There we have that finished, and you will see me put some teacups on there at the very end. This is the sink cabinet that I just completely forgot to film, but there's a little sink that sits in there, and then the corner cabinet that sits underneath the window, and they will all get little curtains hanging in front of them as well. So it's more Weasley-like, and this is how they fit in the diorama. And of course I had to round off the corners just to make it a little bit more real and lived in and, you know, the usual. Sink, I'm going to start with a white, but I thought the white was a little bit too stark of a contrast. So I'm going to go with ivory in the end. But I really like how this sink turned out, and the cabinet I'm going to paint a tan color. I think it's called tan or something like that. Caramel, light caramel. And I'm just gonna go over a couple of times so we don't see those dark lines anymore. And this is what it looks like. I really like the gloss finish on the sink. I think that really needs it. And then I'm going to make a tap with this floral wire. And there are placeholders in the template for the tap as well. And the actual taps on the side, the hot and cold tap, are made from the same toothpicks as that I used for the plate storage. Then I'm going to make the actual taps from this little crown thing. I cut off the tops of the crown, and those are going to be my tap handles. And this is what it will look like. I will paint this bronze so it ties in a little bit more with the Weasley style as well. Behind the kitchen sink are 2 rows of tiles. They are small, and I made them 4 millimeters each. And I'm going to stamp this stamp on a piece of white card, then cut it out into 4x4 mil squares, the stamp is not the same size, but it gets the pattern there. And then I'm going to cut them all out and glue them onto another piece of card and color them and gloss them so they look like little tiles. And that will give the effect that I am after. In the summer of 1992, Harry Potter first visited the Burrow when he was rescued from Fort Privet Drive by Ron, Fred and George. He stayed with them throughout the summer and came to regard the Burrow as his second home after Hogwarts. During this time, Arthur and Molly Weasley came to look upon Harry as part of their family and made sure he was always welcome. In the summer of 1994, the Burrow was alive with activity as the entire family was back under one roof since Bill had moved out to work in Egypt. The Burrow was further crowded with the addition of Harry Potter and Hermione Granger, and the entire household, with the exception of Molly, attended the Quidditch World Cup final. During the summer of 1995, the Weasleys temporarily vacated the Burrow, staying at 12 Grimmauld Place in London to assist the Order of the Phoenix. In the summer of 1996, Bill's fiancée Fleur Delacour moved into the Burrow, much to the annoyance of Molly, Ginny and Hermione, who visited the Burrow for her second time. Now, we all know that this sink is magic, right? So I tried to put this plate in with a piece of clear plastic, but it didn't turn out the way I wanted it. And I'm also just painting randomly this sink at this point, and now it's painted by the power of magic editing. Anyway, then I wanted to have this stream of water going down the tap. This also did not turn out the way I wanted it to. I mean, the right intentions were there, but it just didn't stick. And I don't know if it was too hot on that day or my super glue didn't work. I don't know. But in the end, I just go back to actually just gluing the plate to the tap just underneath. It kind of looks like it's elevated. So now it's stuck, but it comes unstuck later on. Anyway, I'm not even going there. You will see it in the end how it turned out. It turns out fine. But yeah, I was so frustrated at that moment. Anyway, moving on to this corner cabinet, I painted the outside like I did the sink unit, and then I'm going to add some fabric for curtains. By the way, this was a solid 3-week project. I did not stop. I did not take a break making this. This was a big project. And I think we all know where I'm heading with this new year 2025, that I am now at a point where I kind of want to make quality items and digital downloads for you all, and I want this to be a value add to my journey, to your journey, and make quality items. And in order to do so, it just takes some time to create these items, and I will put out one project a month. I'm also going back to study next year, which is going to be residential drafting, which hopefully gives me even more insight into making miniatures and making dioramas and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I hope that all works out. But if you think there will be a little bit of a gap between projects, that's true, but I will not abandon you. I will not abandon my ravens, and you can still expect around one project a month. And you just saw me make a little, I was going to say paintbrush, but it's a dish brush. And this is one of those vintage ones, and they are surprisingly easy to make. You take an old paintbrush and some paper and glue, and you're there. And this kitchen also needed some pipes, so I'm going to paint this electrical wire, which is very easy to bend, and the thickness is there for what I needed it to be. And I thought to do different kinds of metallic paint, but in the end I used just copper. And this is how the corner cabinet turned out. I thought Molly Weasley would store her cauldron there. And this is how the sink turned out. I'm really happy with how that turned out, by the way. Those little bowls are nail art orbs. I'm not quite sure how to call them, but let's call them that. Bubbles. And I will, as said before, leave everything in the description box below. And then adding the plate cabinet as well, and it looks so good. And then with some super glue, I am going to glue these pipes in as well. And I use super glue because that was just the easiest thing to use for these. Moving on to cutlery. I had to have miniature cutlery, and I found templates on Cricut, and I sized them down to 1.6 centimeters. It's really tiny. And then with the bowl stylus, I'm going to hollow out the spoons and where the handle and the fork or the spoon meets, and then going to paint them silver. These are all 3D printed, and I could not sculpt this well and make them all look uniform, and the cauldron as well. I am really happy with how this turned out, and I find most of these on Thingiverse or free online. There is one file that I bought from a seller that I will leave below. It was either on Cults 3D or something like that, and I bought the oven trays from there. Not oven trays, Dutch ovens, I think they are called. Here's the cauldron all finished, happy with that, and that is gonna go into that little nook. I found this acrylic texture paint set, and it was, I believe, 6 or 8 Australian dollars, and I thought to use this for this project, so I didn't have to mix my own paint constantly for the right colors. I thought they were perfect. Then I have some I can't remember what they're called, but some butterbeer and some pumpkin juice jugs, and then all the pots and pans and plates. And like I said, I just bought them or found them on Thingiverse and scaled them down. And filling those oven trays after painting with polymer clay, I had to put some tin foil in there first, mainly because I cannot put these 3D printed trays in the oven because the plastic will just melt. So I create the food in the pan in the tin foil, then take the tin foil with the clay out and put that in the oven, and then remove the tin foil and put that back in the baking dish. So here we just have some potatoes, and I'm just lining that with some clay and with some liquid Sculpey so the potatoes will all stick. I thought this was the cutest dish on the entire table. Well, besides a turkey. I do make a turkey as well. But I thought these look so adorable. And of course we need to have some mushy peas. So I line one of the dishes with some tin foil. And then I'm going to mix some of this water effects stuff with some of these micro beads, and put them in the dish. Let that air dry because I don't need to bake that, and then paint over that with green paint again, and then we have the mushy peas in the baking dish. This is going to be the turkey. I made a general shape out of tin foil, then brushing that with liquid Sculpey and putting some brown clay on top. I'm going to paint this afterwards, so I'm not too worried on what color it has right now. And then, of course, adding in all the details and sculpting it out. These are the potatoes, are all baked and the tin foil removed, and then I can just place it back in the dish like so. Here we have the turkey all baked as well, and I just need to paint that one. And then we have some Brussels sprouts, and here on the mushy peas. You will see them all at the end. This is going to be a tray that sits at the windowsill, and I just cut that out of a random shapes of chipboard and then cutting out of the excess, and then I'm going to paint that brown, so that will be like a herb tray. Just putting some dabbles of glue on there, and then some random pieces of green and brown flocking that I have. And then that looks like a little tray of herbs that Molly can use in her kitchen. Of course, I had to add in some curtains as well, because we do see them in some of the screenshots. I have to say not everything is absolutely screen accurate, but I tried to stay as close as possible, but I did take some creative liberties. And like I said, the cauldron is gonna go in this corner nook. I thought this was adorable a little tidbit that I thought up, that Molly would have her cauldron stored in there. And grabbing some chalk pastels because I am now going to age up that wall. It's not going to be grubby or grimy because I don't think that the Weasleys are particularly dirty people per se. They just have a lot of clutter going on in their house. Now, I think it's time to let you all enjoy this little moment because I'm going to put everything together and I will see you all at the end. And this is it for the last video of the year. My favorite parts in this particular diorama are the cutlery tray, the sink, the chairs, and the dish with the potatoes. Let me know what your favorite parts are of this Weasley kitchen, and perhaps try to do so with emojis. All my social media can be found in the description box below, and if you're new here, welcome! Don't forget to hit that subscribe and bell notification button so you don't miss out on any future videos. And of course, become part of the Raven family. Thanks so much for watching, stay safe, have a very happy new year, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!